Hi, this is Shadi and today we're going up against the big boys. It's gonna be Judo versus Sumo Wrestling, a technical breakdown of the common throws that you can find in the two arts, but their different approach, and also see how they differ, because I'm sure you know this, but the gi and kuzushi are gonna play a very vital role when it comes to differentiating between the two takedowns that are very similar when it comes to physics, but the gripping and how you initiate it will differ. So before I do that, there is something that we need to clarify. Judo has something that's called kumikata, or grip fighting. It is something that is an art in and of itself to establish a dominant grip, the grip that allows you to be the most offensive and not prone to throws yourself. It is what makes Judo, in my opinion, the tachiwaza part, so complex. You can drill a throw all day, but establishing a grip during randori is one of the hardest and mentally exhausting things that you could ever do. That's why there are so many tips and tricks when it comes to grip fighting. But when it comes to sumo, people think that it is just pushing and shoving. Yes, there are stuff like tsuridashi, okuridashi, etc. But when it comes to sumo, there's also a type of grip fighting very similar to Greco-Roman. It's not just two fat guys shoving each other. You can see here there is stagnation, there is strategy, there are people waiting. You see the over and under hook 50-50 position, grabbing the mawashi, very similar, a bit like a Greco-Roman, the neutral position. But just so you know that in sumo there is some sort of tactical gripping and also tactical pushing and shoving. It is not just blind strength and bulldozing through the other guy. Sumo has a lot more intricacies to it that are gonna show in this video. But before I show the takedowns, I figured I would make this very clear. So the first throw that we're gonna see is the Uchimata versus the Kake Nage. Now, anyone who's been following me for a while know that I love Uchimata, and there is so many variations to it. You have the Oikomi here, you see Maruyama doing it. You have Tobikomi, which is a fast one-step Uchimata. You have the Ken-Ken, you have the spin-out Uchimata, many variations to it. But the thing that makes Uchimata very special is the lift with the hips and the legs, and also the kuzushi, how you push and lift and pull with someone's gi in order to create the imbalance, and thus creating that incredible and beautiful throw, which is the Uchimata. And that's the defining factor that's going to be between the Uchimata and the Kakenage, because simply there's no gi. Now here you can see the moment you establish the dominant grip, as Maruyama does, he immediately shoots in for the Uchimata and lifts incredibly high. So you see also the weight categories makes it different than Kakenage, because I doubt that sumo wrestlers are going to be lifting in this graceful manner you see in the minus 66, the 73, the 81, even minus 90 and 100. You can see still graceful Uchimatas. But when it comes to Kakenage, you have first of all the different gripping. First of all, when you're grabbing the mawashi, the distance between the reaping of the leg and the pulling shortens, hence less leverage, hence more strength in my opinion. And you can only do like the Ken-Ken variation of the Uchimata here, the Kakenage. So that's the defining factor between the two throws. You have less leverage, gripping on the belt or the mawashi rather than the gi, and creating less kuzushi. Is there kuzushi? Yes, but to a lesser degree than Uchimata. This is, in my opinion, what differs between the two. You also have limited to only one variation, which is the hopping variation, like the Ken-Ken, and this is what makes Kakenage different here. You can also do it, in my opinion, with like an overhook over the shoulder rather than going down and grabbing the belt, and thus creating more leverage. Yes, that is true, but it it becomes more like the Uchimata you see in MMA rather than Judo. Like I said, the gi is going to be a defining factor to separate the two, but nonetheless, it is still there. The second one is the obvious one, is the Yagura Nage or front Uchimata. For those of you who don't know, Dash Deva is a king when it comes to this takedown. He grabs the belt and lifts up and reaps away in the middle, the inner thigh, and you can see why it is very also common in sumo, because you are grabbing the belt, and the mawashi is far thicker than the obi in judo, so you can create a far more firm grip when it comes to lifting someone. Now, here is efficient judo demonstrating that there are many grips to it. You can grab the sleeve, you can grab the back, you can grab the garment around the neck. There are many options to it. This is what differs the garment gripping around the entire torso, like around the back, around the shoulders, around the neck. That also can create good leverage when it comes to throwing with Yagura Nage. And in sumo, yes, you can wrap the arm around the head, you can wrap the arm around the torso, but when it comes to the stability of the grip on the torso for judo is far more stable, but for sumo around the belt is far more stable because the mawashi is far thicker and you can get a far more firm grip when it comes to it. But being sumo, there is far more strength. Obviously, there is far more shoving. You have someone doing all these dashi variations like okuri dashi, tsuri gashi, hiki otoshi, ushi dashi. Also, all these things will result in far more strength. You can use someone's drive towards you, because keep in mind, if you step out the circle, you also lose. So you have also the context in sumo that if someone's trying to push you, you can use their drive towards you in order to create various throws, and Yagura Nage is one of them, and we're gonna see different examples later on. So the grip around the belt in judo, it is weaker, but in sumo it is stronger. But the grip around the torso and the back of the head in judo is far more stable because you're grabbing the garment. Like I said, the gi is playing a crucial factor when it comes to distinguishing the two. And of course, there is the strength, because sumo toris or the rikishi will not shy away from using strength. Here, in order to lift up, even before inserting the leg, you would need incredible strength. So can you do it by not grabbing the mawashi? Yes, you can do around the neck and around the lats, cupping the lats. Here you can see with a spin out, there is a lot of strength being used as well as technique. It is far less graceful, but again, due to the weight differences, a lot of differing factors will play a role in the separation of the two takedowns. The next one is the Koshinage versus the Makikomi. Now, the judo Makikomi can be done when playing kumikata. Someone's trying to get a high grip and driving like a very high arm. You can take it and then wrap it around and get a Makikomi, a roll. Here, this is a perfect example. Someone's trying to get a high grip kumikata, and you take it for your own benefit and go for a Makikomi. You can do it also starting a technique like Osotogari, spin around and finish it with Makikomi. Here Fabio Basile is doing the same thing. So it does stem from kumikata when it comes to gripping garments. That's something different in sumo. There is that in sumo does not exist. So the context of using this technique differs a bit, and also you have the drop on the knees, but in sumo you cannot do that because you are immediately disqualified. You have to remain standing. Only your partner has to touch the ground, not you. Even if your knees touch, you lose. And also going out of the circle or the dohyo. So this is the main factor, is that you can go down. In sumo you cannot. Here, for example, someone's doing an okuri dashi, like a double shove towards the outside of the dohyo. He used it in order to get the Koshinage, because in judo you cannot turn your back, or you cannot have your back exposed. It's different. So here you can see a different context to going for the same technique. Now this one, Uki Otoshi Uwatenage. Now I might be off on this one, but in my opinion this looks very much like Uki Otoshi. So Uki Otoshi is a floating drop using someone's sway, whether it is forward or backward, and then going down on one knee, or you can remain standing as you saw just now. So it is a floating drop backwards. You take someone, and also you are using the gi. You are creating kuzushi on the elbow level, and also you are pulling with the collar in order to create as much as imbalance as possible. That will not exist in Uwate Nage, but as you can see, there are differentiating factors to it. You can use an overhook, etc. So this is Uki Otoshi. So in sumo, when someone's trying to push you out of the dohyo or the ring around, you can use their drive, and with an overhook you can create an Uwate Gake, like an Uki Otoshi. Now, is it floating drop? No, it is far less graceful, but when it comes to mechanics and redirecting someone's energy through their drive, it becomes a bit like Uki Otoshi, the Mongolian version of Uki Otoshi that Davadorsh does it in judo. And finally, the last one, Soto Gake, outside clipping. It is like the Kosoto Gake. Like I said, kuzushi and the gi play a major role when it comes to differentiating the two, because you are lifting up, taking them to the side, and then clipping the leg, creating kuzushi before clipping the leg and reaping it and taking them down. Very little strength needed. You can also feint with other attacks. So of course, all of that will not exist in the Soto Gake of sumo, or the Suzuharai in sumo, like the Deashi Harai and Kosoto Gari. But this one, I'm gonna show this one because all the same principles apply. So here you can see you are pushing, grabbing the mawashi, and then clipping the leg using forward drive and a lot of strength. Very little kuzushi. Here you can see the drive, or if someone pulls you, you can go and use that pull in order to clip the leg, go forward, and then go in order to win and drop them down. So there's also Suzuharai, different like Deashi Harai and Kosoto Gari, but the same principle applies. So the main difference is, of course, the kuzushi plays a big role, but that doesn't mean that there's no grip fighting in sumo. You can see shoving and pushing, etc., but they also want to establish dominant grip, or at least a neutral grip around the belt, like the 50-50 over underhook. So it's not just two fat guys pushing each other. There's a lot of intricacies and subtleties when it comes to sumo wrestling. Doing this research, I have a newfound respect to sumo, and in my opinion, I'll be following it a lot more. There's a lot of differentiating factors between the takedowns. For example, in sumo, you cannot go down on your knees to execute a throw because you will lose. There's also the kuzushi. There's also less leverage because grabbing the belt you will need far more strength. So if you have anything else to add or comment on any other technique, let me know down below. I'm still without a phone. I'll get to your comments as much as I can. By tomorrow morning, I'll address them all. If you have anything else to add, like I said, this was Shadi, and thank you for listening.